The most basic service of animal services, of course, is adopting little creatures like this one here. And with me today is Dan Bugg, the Director of Animal Services, which is located at the end of Davidson Drive off of Shady Grove Road, easily accessible from any place in town. And welcome, Dan, and also welcome to your little guest.
Yes, a little female, a little lab mixed puppy. Thought we'd have her join us this morning.
Well, good. That's certainly the subject of our discussion today, which is animal adoption. And there are basics that people may not be aware of. Of course, starting with the hours of operation of your shelter here.
Yeah, the shelter's open Monday through Friday, 12 to 5. The reason we don't open at noon until noon is because we spend the first half of the day cleaning the shelter and taking care of the animals. So we want everybody to be safe coming in the shelter. We don't want wet floors or soap or hoses in the way. So we do our physical cleanup and maintenance of the shelter and the animals in the mornings and open at noon every day at 12 o'clock.
Well, obviously you do a great job maintaining the shelter as well as the animals, because this one looks well taken care of.
Yes, she's in good shape. I think there's another 8 or 9 in this litter. It's a pretty good sized litter, and so we have these guys were born here at the shelter, and we're hanging on to them until they get weaned, and then we're going to place them up for adoption.
And she's talking to us.
Yeah.
Now, how many animals do you adopt out of the shelter each year?
Well, each year it tends to vary to a great extent. Usually, always 500 annually, and then that number will, depending on the year, will vary up to 700 animals per year.
So, what is the ratio of dogs to cats?
Well, about 75% of what we adopt out is dogs. The rest is cats. If you look at our statistics on animals that get impounded or brought to a shelter, almost no one reclaims a cat. Everybody reclaims their dog, or most people, when animals are reclaimed, it's always a dog. So we have a kind of a tough road to hoe with cats, because no one comes in and reclaims their lost cat. They just go get another cat. And in this situation, we do reclaim quite a few dogs to the public who own pets that have been picked up, end up here for some reason or another. And then also we do considerable adoptions. Like last December, we did adopted 76 animals from the shelter in December. So adoptions tend to be seasonal, seem to ebb and flow, and they seem to be strongest once school has started again in the fall versus any other time during the year.
When school starts?
After about 2 weeks after school starts, our adoptions take off. I mean, it's not that we don't do adoptions, they really accelerate during that time period.
How interesting. Now, do you adopt to people who don't live here in Hot Springs?
Oh, absolutely. The advent of Pet Finder and web-based pet finding services or pet posting services like we use Pet Finder is very successful. We have people driving here from Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Louisiana, because they've spotted an animal on Pet Finder they want, and they drive up here and adopt usually a dog. Yes.
It's a different world with the internet.
It's made a big difference. It's made our numbers go up significantly, so it helps when we stay active in our posting with Pet Finder. And we have those reposted every week. We also do a pet page in the newspaper every Sunday. Matter of fact, it runs this Sunday. And so those pictures are already up there waiting to be printed for the weekend paper. So,
Dan, what's the process of adopting a pet once you find a little one that you want to bring home?
Well, like this little puppy right here would not be eligible to be spayed and neutered. It's too young. So under the new state law, I think he's hungry. She's hungry. Under the new state law, all pets coming from the shelter or an animal rescue or a humane society must be spayed or neutered before they're placed into the hands of the owner, except for animals that are too young or animals that have a medical condition. The veterinarian who's doing your spays and neuters does not recommend spaying the animal at that time. So this little puppy would go home today, if you adopt it today, and be rescheduled to come back in 30 days to be spayed or neutered. And the cost for that is $55 for a puppy. For a puppy, it's $55. That includes spaying and neutering of the pet and also microchipping of the pet. We microchip all adoptable animals leaving this building, cats and dogs.
And people may not realize all of that is involved.
Well, we tell them that, but microchips have gone down significantly in price. So we're able to afford to chip an animal. Like this dog, if this dog comes back into this shelter a year from now as a stray, because we picked it up running loose, I would not recognize this dog, because it's going to probably look a lot different. The colors will be a little different on the dog in adulthood. So I have a way to scan the animal, find out, number one, who it belongs to. Number two, I can look up my records, find out this dog came from here. So it's interesting to have that information.
Now, it's important to match the pet to the owner. They've got to be a good match. And you have a shelter outside. What's the purpose of that?
Well, we kind of have a place out here that we put up, built here at the shelter. It's just one of those double carport awnings with two 10 by 10 dog pens and some benches for the folks to sit down and get out of the weather and get out of the sun, and a place to take a pet out of the building here and go out and socialize with it, spend some time, family members or whatever. And I have people come and take a dog out there, and they'll spend an hour or two with their kids and mom and grandpa or whoever comes, and make sure that's the pet for them. So you get a chance to test drive your pet here. And that our little shelter was put up here last year with our money from our WAVES grant from Weyerhaeuser.
A WAVES grant?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, we certainly appreciate partnerships like that make that shelter possible and other improvements.
Absolutely. It's such a nice thing to have. It's highly used and it's effective.
Mm-hmm. Well, Dan, is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, the only thing I do is just remember where we are, who we are, and not only do we have animals here, I mean, the physical shelter makes you think of adoptions and holding and so on and so forth, but this department does so much more than just operate a shelter. We do a lot of services in the county and the city, and so they keep us busy. So the shelter is just one small segment of what we do.
Yes, and I'm sure people would have lots of questions that they may want to ask, including all the ordinances that need to be followed, and the state laws as well.
Right.
So if they want to contact you, what's the phone number?
Phone number is a good one. Call us 262-2091, and that's answered 8 to 5 Monday through Friday. And then we have an emergency on-call number. You call the police department after hours, because we spend a lot of time at night, 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, 1 o'clock in the morning, Saturdays and Sundays, dealing with animal problems in the community on an emergency basis.
Well, Dan, we hope that next time we see you, this little one will have been adopted and found a good home. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
And next week, we'll bring you more city news.